In the observable universe, we can only observe actions. The actions that we objectify as our body or a tree or the sky, the air, the flower, those are nothing but actions. And to understand that, we need to consider this diagram where the action is shown as a resultant of two causes. So the main thing is the energy that we superimpose in order to explain the phenomena that we see. And after seeing or perceiving those phenomena, we term them as the object. So object is also, we don't know what an object is, because what we know is the actions, but we are helpless but to designate any objectified action as a distinct action separate from the whole existence. And the reason for having those specific color, taste, touch, smell, etc., we introduce a cause which is termed as energy. And since these two are introduced concepts, and hence they represents the lower level of reality, because we don't know what they are, and it's impossible to know what they are, the object and the energy, and that's why they are lower levels of reality. The higher level of reality is the actions that we actually perceive uh, surrounding us in the observable universe. For example, this apple, what we see is the color. If we touch it, we will feel the hotness or the coldness the apple is having. And the weight is due to the gravitational energy. Weight is the action. And there will be smell due to the volatility of the chemical that it has, etc. I mean, like that, you can basically find out all the actions which is responsible for all the sense perceptions that we have for this specific object. And hence this is nothing but a pile of different actions, and we are objectifying it as an apple. We are objectifying the shape as an apple. So this is a shape with a name, and we are objectifying it as the human being, and we are helpless to do that because it has a distinct color. So now we are going to see that the actions are not able to know themselves. And to explain that, I need to show this particular picture where I am actually looking at a cup that I am holding in my hand. If you look carefully, me, that is this body that is holding the cup, is an action. I am saying that this is my body, but this is a pile of actions. Chemical actions, mechanical actions, all sorts of actions are there. Biochemical actions. I mean, biochemical and chemical action is the same thing. And those are happening because of different energies that we have superimposed already as the cause. So, so this is basically a pile of action, and the causes are the energy and the object. These two are unknowables, and they are introduced by us because there is the action that we are observing by our sense organs. So we are calling that there has to be two different entities which are interacting with each other and generating action. So this is me, a pile of action, and I'm holding this cup, which is also nothing but different actions. So an action is trying to know another action. So this is an interesting situation. So now let us further consider what's happening here. So if we just isolate this particular picture, I mean, you can also consider the whole universe, but just for discussion purpose, if we just isolate this particular place, is there anything apart from action? No, right? Because wherever you are right now, if you look carefully around you, you will find only actions: the color, sound, taste, touch, and smell. These five things you will perceive by your sense organs, and based on different sense perceptions, you are going to objectify differently different things, like the mobile phone or the electronic device you are using to watch this video, your hand, etc. But there is only actions that we are perceiving in terms of color, touch, etc. So like the cup, which is made of solid, liquid, gas, and space, etc. Those are the five principal categories of objects that we have, that we already objectified, and those are the primary objects that is used to that is basically in the throughout the universe. So like that, my body is also my body, the eyes, the nerve, the brain. I mean, the nerves are also consists of the molecules are nothing but atoms, and everything in the atomic level, there is only action is going on. I mean, inside the atom, the nucleus is constantly oscillating, the proton and the neutrons, and the electron is definitely you know all these things, right? So in the atomic level or in the subatomic level, everything is oscillating because there is only action. And to maintain the activity, there has to be constant changes. Otherwise, there will be no action. Action means change. If there is no change, there is no action. So, based on the different actions, we are helpless but to objectify each action with a name and a form or shape, and that is done by us. So we objectify our different body parts, etc. But the main thing is to consider here, an action is trying to know another action. Okay, let us keep that in our mind and proceed to the next slide. So again, the same scenario, if we just quickly summarize in this picture. So this whole body is the action objectified as body, and this cup is also objectified as cup, which is nothing but action. And based on different color, sound, taste, etc., we objectified both of them. Just focus on the body and the cup. Now, like the cup has certain characteristics, like it has mostly the solid parts. Exactly like that, our body is also made of five principal objects, right? There is solid, the bones, etc. There is liquid, gaseous stuff is also there. There is space, definitely. So all those things are basically constantly in action. For what purpose? For preserving our body, right? There is a purpose for preserving that, but for right now, just look at it, how it's working. So all the sense perceptions that we are able to do, we think that our nerves are basically doing that, right? Definitely our nerves are interacting with the surroundings, but they are not the knower because they are already interacting. And if something is interacting, it's in action, active mode. And if something is in active mode, it's continuously changing. And if something is continuously changing, it cannot know the change, the process of change itself. You see, the I hope you are understanding it. If not, just contemplate on these things slowly. You have to realize by yourself. This is not a ready-made thing, So I'm just sharing the things that I knew. So you have to do by it yourself. Okay, so the nerves and the brain, everything, they are in constant action. They are interacting with the surroundings in terms of electrical signals, in terms of heat, in terms of I mean, countless different modes of energy. They're interacting. So if they're interacting constantly, that means they're acting, and anything which is acting is already action itself. I mean, there is no distinction between the action and the thing that is acting, because if anything acting, it's an action itself, because without action it won't be able to act. This is tricky. Okay, so the main purpose of those nerves or the brain is to preserve the body. They're constantly active, even when we are sleeping, when we are dreaming, etc. And the reason is to fulfill the purpose of what? Purpose of enjoyment. Definitely, we use the body as an instrument, just like my hand. I'm using my hand to hold the cup. Exactly like that, we use our eyes, we use our feet to for different purpose. And another interesting point to note is our brain uh, can perform the things based on our command. I mean, if we want to see something, our brain, the nerves inside the brain will direct my head towards the thing that I want to see, right? This decision, the brain is not taking the decision. Brain is just acting after the decision is coming. The desire is coming. You see? Just look at it. This is the most interesting thing. You see? Go slowly, take your time. So the brain is taking the command, and then it's performing the actions that I am desiring to do or to experience. Uh, then there will be those free will problem that we can discuss later, whether there is at all any free desire or free will or not. That's a different thing that will take a lot of time, but right now just see how the things are going. Okay, so next, go to the next slide. So so what we have seen so far, that and this cup our body and this cup are made with these five principal categories of objects. For cup, it has solid and the space, but for our body, it has uh, it has solid, liquid, gas, and space. Plasma or fire form is not present there, because it's gonna disintegrate the body. It will burn basically. So there is another interesting thing. So the formation of the color, the formation of the color, one of the mechanism is the absorption followed by emission. So in case of fire, the absorption emission is taking place in the atomic level. But in case of fire, the color of the fire is due to the absorption emission of the atoms that are getting excited, and then coming to the ground state and emitting the energy, which we are calling as light, but what we are seeing is the color of that action. But in case of all other colors, like the hand, the cup, the screen, etc., which are not burning, but we still see the color, that's because there is also another process. I mean, another similar process, absorption emission, is going on, but in molecular level. This is in atomic level. There is the molecular level of the absorption emission of light is going on. Light is superimposed, but we need to use the superimposed phenomena in order to see that the falsity of the thing that we are trying to falsify. Okay, so in in molecular level, the absorption emission phenomena is going on. In atomic level also it's going on. So this phenomena is basically same, the absorption and the emission. And that is actually present in both solid, liquid, and in fire. So these three, one of the fundamental reason for observing color in these three objects is absorption emission of the energy which we call as light. Okay, there is scattering, there is reflection. It's okay, those are there, but the main is the absorption and emission. And when it is fire or plasma, it's going on in the atomic level. When it is solid or liquid, it's going on in the molecular level. This is a very important thing to remember. Okay, so all so the body as well as the cup is objectified based on their different actions. So it has mostly solid has distinct actions like the weight, the repulsion. When I'm holding this cup, the repulsion is maintaining the whole process. Otherwise, either my hands will be crushed or I'm gonna crush the cup inside my hand. You see what I mean? So the repulsion is necessary in order to maintain the shape. So so to maintain the shape, the repulsion has to be there acting constantly. If it's not acting constantly, the shape will not be present there. And that's why it looks that it's not changing, but that that action is continuously going on to preserve the form, you see. If that action is not going on, the solid cup will not be able to retain or hold the shape. I hope you guys are understanding. Okay, uh, let's go to the third aspect, that is the actions can be known only, and they cannot be the knower because they're an active process. It's going on. So an active process means there has to be change. There has to be change, constant change. Otherwise, it's not an action. So if something is changing constantly, it cannot know anything. To to know it, the agent, the knower has to be in unchanged condition. Otherwise, it won't be able to notice the action that is changing. That's another thing to understand. This is not assumption. Everything is fact here. No assumption, no belief or something. We are just following the facts. Okay. So this is another thing that this cup is used for a specific purpose, like drinking tea, etc. The body is also used to enjoy different purpose, walking, moving. We have five organs of sense, organs of action, by the way, and those are the organ of speech, the organ of holding, the organ of moving, the organ of excretion, and the organ of creation. Those five organs of action are present. uh, we will discuss the organs, the mind, what's the desire faculty, the desire and the intellect is same. What's the memory, everything we will go one by one. Okay, so for now, let's come back to the topic again, that is the action cannot know itself because it's changing all the time. Then comes the next slide. So here the thing that we see here is the same thing that we just discussed earlier. That is, since they are both actions, that is my body and the cup that I'm observing, both of them are actions. In the atomic level, they are acting, and if something is acting, it's constantly under change, and if it is changing, it cannot know itself. And if there is no change, it's not an action. Clear? If it is not changing, it's not an action. Fact? Okay. We can perceive the solid, liquid, gas, or different states because they are changing. Because of their changing, we can perceive them. Otherwise, we won't be able to perceive them. That's the tricky part. Because they are changing, that's why they are perceivable. Because they are perceivable, they are actions. And to justify or to explain them, we introduce the energy concept, and we objectify them based on the different sense perceptions. So these are the very crucial facts that we overlook. But if we look or if we observe carefully without any prejudice or any ideas, thoughts, just with a blank mind, if we just observe the things, it's very, very easy. It's just in front of our eyes. We can know what's going on. Okay. So far we have seen that there is actions that is observable, but if we actions are observable, right, in terms of color, taste, touch, etc. And to explain those actions, the philosophers, they introduced or superimposed two phenomena. One is two concepts, let's say. One is the energy, and another is the object. So the energy is the reason of different actions as per we describe it, or as per the philosophers describe it. So because of the energy there is actions, and because of the actions, based on different actions we perceive different colors, touch, taste, etc. And based on the diversity of this sense perception, we objectify everything. And the reason of the actions is basically the interaction between the energy and the object. But neither of them cannot be the knower, right? An object cannot know itself. Energy also cannot know itself. So according to us, so we introduced another superimposition. That is the consciousness. So we introduced this uh, concept, let's say, because this is still a concept. But the thing that it can do is it can be the knower, because consciousness is the knowing faculty of us. But we cannot know consciousness as well as we cannot know the energy, and also we cannot know the object. The same thing is applicable for consciousness as well. It is unknowable, impossible to know. What we can observe is the action, and anything that we can observe is only action. And based on the actions, we introduce these three uh, fundamental superimpositions, let's say: the energy, the object, and the consciousness. There is another interesting aspect which is known as the awareness. That is some advanced level discussion that we are going to do later. But for now, just understand that consciousness is the agent that is basically responsible for knowing all the actions, because actions cannot know itself. Make that very, very clear. Actions cannot know themselves because they are changing, and if something is changing, it cannot be the knower. For knowing, it has to be unchanging, and that brings the concept of consciousness, which is unknowable because it knows the actions. It cannot know itself. The actions cannot know the consciousness. Just like we cannot know energy, we cannot know the object, but we know there is something that is responsible for actions. We call it sometime energy, we call it sometime object, we call it sometime consciousness. But the interesting thing is there cannot be three unknowables, right? There cannot be three unknowables because all the three unknowables will represent the same thing. Because they are unknowable, they don't have any characteristics, so all the three will be the same thing, right? That is also another fact to remember. And that is actually summarized in this slide, that there cannot be three unknowables. There will be the S. There cannot be three unknowables, and since all of them are unknowable, that means they are basically representing the same entity. And what it can be, the same entity, what it can be, I mean, that we are going to discover later, step by step, by following the facts only. No assumption, no belief or anything. Okay. But to know the, or to explore or investigate the lower level of reality, we need to consider them different: the energy, the object or the objectifiable, and the consciousness.